Welcome to the first episode of Things I've Learned podcast. My name is Cheryl Buchanan, and I'm a customer care leader in the Mega Health and Wealth Group. If you receive this directly from me, it's because you're a part of my organizational structure. If you received it indirectly, I hope you enjoy it too. I bet you're wondering what this is all about. Part of my process each year is to reflect on the prior year and start thinking about my goals for the next year. Last year, I heard the concept of a boom goal, which stands for blow our own minds. The way I define a boom goal is if it scares you and excites you at the same time, it might be a good thing to try. One of the things I'll talk about later in this episode is how podcasts really changed my world. So I thought to myself, could I do a podcast? Even writing that sentence, I get a little tingle and tightness in my chest. It's scary to think about because what if it sucks or no one likes it and it's a big flop? But then a very quiet thought in my mind said, but what if it isn't? What if your podcast helps someone else just like finding podcasts helped you? What if it opens a new door or thought for someone that maybe wouldn't have ever tried it? What if there is someone out there feeling the same way as me, not sure where to start or what to try? Based on that tiny little thought that was so quiet when it first came out, I decided I'm going to go for it. And let's be honest, when I first wrote this down and sent it to my manager, I thought, oh my God, now this is real and I need to do it. So boom, here it is. One thing I've been practicing is setting intentions. Setting intentions may sound like a fancy, mindful term, but to me, it's just stating what you intend to accomplish through your actions. It's a commitment to yourself about what you want. I've started to do this for a lot of things in my life and knew I needed to think about it for this series. My first goal is to share things I've learned. Yeah, that's why I chose the title. And it's also to start a conversation and find out what others have learned. My hope is to create a community within our group that is inspired to share, learn, and grow. So now that you know my intentions, I need to take you back to how this all started for me. In March of 2020, when the pandemic hit and COVID-19 started to change our lives, I had already worked at the company for 22 years. I loved going into the office, meeting with people face to face, making connections and lifelong friendships. Alike colleagues weren't just work people to me, they became my second family. And now I was in charge of getting over 500 colleagues out of the office and working from home. What I remember most from that time was a group of us gathering in a room to figure out what people would need, who would go home first, and how to make this all happen within a couple of weeks. Here we were, all used to being together, and now I was telling them, take what you need to work from home temporarily until this pandemic thing is over. Who knew that temporary would become permanent, and 3 years later, we would still be working from home and hiring virtual colleagues all over the U.S., not just in our primary locations. Personally, I went through a lot of change during this time. At first, it was kind of cool. I didn't have to get up early to get ready with hair and makeup. I just had to walk across my house to my home office and get to work. I chose to still go into the office once a week because we were doing construction in Orlando at that time, and as part of the location leadership team, we had work to do on site. So every Tuesday, I would go in and see a few people, but the other days of the week, being at home without my normal routine started to take a toll. I went through 2020 constantly thinking this would be over soon and we would get back to normal. By March of 2021, a year later, I realized this is our new normal. And if I were going to get back to myself, I needed to figure out a way to adjust. Because not only had work changed, but everything in my life had changed. In some ways, I felt like I had lost my purpose. I was a customer care leader by title, but also in my heart. How could I be a leader that wasn't visible? How could I be a leader virtually? How could I find joy in different ways? We were figuring it out at home. We became master puzzlers, binged on Netflix, took walks to get outside, and I love to organize, so lots of things got even more organized, but I needed more. I decided to work on myself and knew I needed to change how I was thinking about things, but I really wasn't sure how. I had never been interested in self-help type of books, but someone recommended one to me that was about weight loss and how the author lost over 100 pounds and transformed her life. I'm not sure if anyone can relate, but I've identified as a stress eater for a long time, and this pandemic had me stressed. At least that's how I described it at the time. Since we already watched everything on Netflix and made all of our puzzles at least twice, I figured, sure, I'll read a book. Well, it turns out that that book opened a new world for me. Sure, it had weight loss ideas in it, but it was more about mindset and how your thoughts drive your actions. I had never really listened to my thoughts, so how could they be driving my actions? But it resonated with me, and so I decided to learn more. One step I took was to take advantage of our Alight EAP benefits, and I engaged a counselor for the first time in my life. I chose someone that was well versed in mindfulness and thought work. I went to her for about 6 months and really dug in and chose to work on myself. During that time, I also started reading other books and listening to podcasts. Podcasts changed my world. I was hooked and didn't have enough time to listen to everything I wanted to. I found out that podcasts are another world and very connected. I would listen to one podcast and they would have a guest on that also had a podcast, so I would go listen to that one. A quick side note about me, I'm a recovering perfectionist and all or nothing thinker. So I started to get overwhelmed with all of the information that was available to me. Then I realized that was a thought and I don't have to get overwhelmed. I can listen to whatever I want and there is no time frame to get it done. Phew, big sigh of relief. So I went on to listen to different podcasts and learn more about mindfulness. One quote that I heard that I love is each morning peace arrives at your door in the form of choices. I get to choose how to think about things and I get to choose what thoughts to believe. This is where a lot of my work has been, and in the next episode, I'll share how I started to turn off autopilot and really tune into my thoughts. If you made it this far, thanks for listening. In the notes, I'll add the name of the first book that got all this started and some of my favorite podcasts. I would love it if you shared some of your favorites as well. Back to my intentions, my hope is that we create a community that supports each other in our growth and learning. I love becoming a better human and hope to inspire others to come along the journey with me. That's it for now. Take care and make it a great day.